I'm Karen and welcome back to my channel. Today we're still at YALC, it's the third day, and we're here with Rhian Ivory.
Hi.
Hi! She's the author of this lovely book, The Boy Who Drew the Future, and we've got a new book coming out this year as well.
Yes, hope.
Okay, so first of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because I know that you wrote some other books for another publisher under a different name.
I did, yeah. Yeah, so I wrote 4 books for Bloomsbury under my maiden name, which is Rhian Tracy. And I got my book deal just before I got married, so I thought I'd just keep my name.
Yeah.
And they're all young adult novels. The one that most people will know is The Bad Girls Club, which is about 4 girls who are forced to form a book club to go on the radio and review books each month. And then obviously got married, had kids, and then they wanted their names on the cover of the book, or at least their surname. So I thought, well,
a bit cheeky.
Pushy. Yeah, so put Ivy on the cover.
Cool. The Boy Who Drew the Future deals a lot with kind of history repeating itself.
Yes.
Was that a conscious choice? Is that something you're very interested in, or did it just kind of pop up?
Yeah. So I love historical fiction. Hilary Mantel is probably my absolute favourite author, and the person to go and listen to as well. She's just amazing. And I was a bit nervous, I think, of doing any historical fiction, so I think I stayed away from that. And I started writing The Boy Who Drew the Future, and it was all Noah's perspective. There was no other character. And I can remember one day writing a scene where he walked along the river, and I wrote a ghost following him, a boy with his dog. And I can remember thinking, who's he? That's not part of the plan.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. And I went and spent the weekend with an editor, Imogen Cooper, who runs Golden Egg Academy. And she said, you need to unleash this ghost and he needs to come into the story. And I was really nervous about doing it, but I spent the weekend at her house and just wrote the whole time. And I can remember sitting at her kitchen table and reading the first Blaze chapter, which is where he goes and heals a girl who's sick. And I can remember both of us going, wow, this is right. So then I had to go and write all of his chapters.
And then how you write
the
a
whole
book.
Wow. You know, read all the stories, make sure they tallied and fitted and sort of bounced off each other. And yeah, this whole historical fiction part came to the novel, which I had. Yeah. So it turned out to be quite a different book from the one I had in my head at the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a surprising twist.
But I think it makes the book kind of not more interesting, because I feel like even Noah's perspective would be interesting on itself.
Yeah.
But just the way that they kind of mirror them like each other just kind of adds another dimension to the book.
Yeah, and that was something I was really interested in about history repeating itself. You know, do we learn anything, or are we just destined to keep repeating the same mistakes? And you know, particularly looking at the politics of today and some of the things that are going on, you know, under Trump. It amazes me that we haven't learned our lesson from that. I can remember reading somewhere someone saying, can you imagine Margaret Atwood in a room with George Orwell and them both going, we told you so, you know, 1984 Handmaid's Tale, we warned you about this. And here we are. So I think history is fascinating, and holding a mirror up to it's always very interesting.
Your new book Hope is coming out on
14th of September.
Oh my god, it's so close.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Hope? Because I have kind of trolled the internet. There's not that much information. You're being very mysterious about this book.
I've been called intriguing about this book.
It looks so nice, the cover though.
The cover's beautiful.
It's by Welsh artists, isn't it?
It is by Guy Manning, who is the best Welsh painter, and he did the cover for Boy as well, so I'm really lucky that he agreed to do Hope.
It's nice because it kind of has this cohesion between the two covers as well.
Yeah, because I haven't got Hope with the cover on yet, and we've got a postcard, so
lovely.
Can't wait to be able to
touch it!
Yeah. It's going to be shiny on the cover.
Oh, lovely. So what can you tell us about Hope without giving away?
Yeah, it's really difficult not to talk about this book without spoiling it. So it's about a girl who fails to get into drama college, and her whole life has been leading up to that moment. and all she's wanted to do is act. And she's sort of really told that she's going to succeed. She's very successful. She's got a beautiful singing voice, and unfortunately something happens to her on that final audition. So she's got through to the second part, and because of something that's happened in her past, it just all falls apart. So you meet Hope on the first page, travelling back from Dublin, where she has Leicester, back to Wales, and she has no plan B. She has never even thought this would happen.
Yeah, do anything else. No.
There was no point, and everything she's done has been leading up to becoming an actress. So she's just completely lost. She's in limbo, and her mum is expecting her to come to work over the summer holidays. She's just about to finish her GCSEs, and she agreed to it, thinking she would get the audition. So she's stuck in hospital with her mum the whole summer. Her mum works in Birmingham Children's Hospital, and because of reasons, hospital is the last place she wants to be, and she loses her singing voice. She can't sing. She's supposed to be working with singing medicine in Birmingham Children's Hospital, who go and sing to patients and relieve them of, if they're on dialysis or having treatment for cancer, or if they're waiting for an operation. Singing medicine go around the hospital and give them a drink, really, and her mum runs it. And singing medicine really exists. So I went and chatted with her at Birmingham Children's. But Hope's lost her singing voice. She can't sing, but that's her job for the summer.
Can I just download this book into my brain right now? Oh my god, that sounds amazing. As you mentioned, singing medicine really exists. What kind of research did you do into the book? Like, I know you can't explain too much,
no,
but what kind of preparation?
I had the opening scene in my head. It was like someone downloaded Hope on the ferry in the rain, swearing her head off with the rain lashing in her face and her hair everywhere. As I was editing this, what do you think? I was like, oh, go away.
That was a shiny new idea.
Yes.
They were like, no, please no.
Yeah,
not yet.
I have not finished editing this. So I paused that, I wrote that first scene just in a Word doc, saved it, put it away,
Please
carried
stop.
on. Yeah.
Stay away.
So the whole time I'm editing this. So when I finally got to write that scene, it was brilliant, but I didn't really know any more than that. And I was watching Children in Need, and singing medicine came up on Children in Need at Birmingham Children's Hospital. And I used to live in Birmingham. All my dad's family from Birmingham. I knew I'd write about Birmingham at some point. And we watched it, me and my kids, and I was like, I want to speak to these people.
That's
what
it.
they're doing is amazing. Didn't really think of hope. And I just wanted to raise awareness, I think. And so I tweeted the CEO, and she said, would you want to come and meet with me? So I did, and then I just started thinking, oh, hang on, I could maybe her mother could do something with singing medicine. And I didn't realise it would become so much about the story. So they let me go and shadow them in Birmingham Children's Hospital with my notebook and my pen, and the nurses let me go in there and go into all kinds of different wards, burns ward and isolation ward and all of that kind of thing, and meet with lots of different patients, and they let me sing with them as well. And it was
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a really hard day, and going home in the UK, it's just had so many different thoughts and emotions and feelings, and just so admire them and the job they do. And
It's quite hard and quite difficult, especially if certain wards are probably harder than others.
yes, yeah, you get fair warning with certain wards, and there's all kinds of protocols that you need to leave. So yeah, it was a really eye-opening experience, and they've been brilliant. They've been so supportive of the book. Yeah, it's really lucky.
What is your process like? What from that one shiny idea, or is it different for every project? Are there any kind of structures that you use?
Yeah, there are. I think since writing this, because this became such a complicated book to write, I've developed a different way of writing and editing, which I didn't have with the previous 4 books. So looking back, I think I wrote those quite easily, and I know with Island Luke, my first book, I wrote the plan on the back of a gas shell, with more detail.
Just like that?
Yeah, it literally was chapter 1, one word, chapter 2, and it just felt very easy. Whereas this, there was a lot of research. I mean, I went to the workhouse, I met with lots of different people, looked at a lot of primary sources with court cases, with witchcraft trials, that kind of thing. So it's very heavy. And I can remember at one point having too much information in my head. And so I got a massive sheet of paper and divided all the chapters up in different perspectives as well. I used different colour post-its for subplots, themes, motifs, clue dropping, both the boys, history. So I just had all these massive sheets all up around me so I could look up and track the story without all being in my head and get a mess. And I've done the same with Hope. It's been less complicated than this one. But I find I need to sort of physically manage the book, and it needs to be like a tactile process.
So
I lie down on the floor and I get big sheets, marker pens, post-its. I really enjoy that process, and it means I can change things really easily without feeling like I'm making a mess of the main part of the book, if that makes sense.
Exactly. So do you then just go and restructure as you go once you've figured out how it looks from above?
Yeah. And with like my first draft, I always think at the end, this is really good. I'm really pleased with what I've done. This story is actually great. Like an idiot. And I believe myself.
But I think
I can send this to my editor now, and thank God somebody stopped me, because it's a right mess, and then I have to go and fix it.
But it's better than, I mean, in a way though, if you're still enthusiastic about your story, it's better than going like, oh, this is shit, I'm never showing this to anybody, and just filing it.
Like that stupid, it's that, it's like, what is it? It's like a blissful ignorance. I really believe myself in that day where I finished. This is really good. And then I read it, and I'm like, it's really not.
But the good thing then is that you do read it back.
Yeah.
Because the really stupid thing would just be like not reading it back and then sending it off.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? I've got some quick fire questions, Trenda. I promise they're quick, I don't promise they're easy. What's your favourite word?
Cacophony.
Cacophony, why? That's a good one. That's nice to say.
It's lovely. It really rolls off the tongue.
Do you like writing it as well?
I like writing it, but I ban myself from putting it in my books. Because it would just be in every chapter. Cacophony.
What's your least favourite word?
Moist.
Yeah, this is becoming. I should do like a poll because there's been quite a few people that have said moist. Just is it the sound? Is it the saying it? The way it's written?
Yeah,
it's just not good. Damp is better.
Yes.
What's your favourite characteristic to write in a character?
With this bit of humour, there's Hope in the first chapter meets a boy called Riley on the ferry on the way back, and he's Irish. And I have loved writing his parts, his wit. It's really sarcastic, he's really funny, and their relationship as it develops, they text each other, has just been really fun to write. When one of my friends was reading it for me, she was sort of not live tweeting me, but live messaging me as she was reading those bits, and I was going around I was in the Tesco shop, and she was messaging me going, oh my god, I love this, oh right, I've fallen in love with Riley. Riley's quite hot, isn't he? I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yes.
Someone cheeky and funny. I love that.
What's your least favourite characteristic?
Probably selfishness, but we're all selfish. You could not create a character that isn't selfish in some way.
Do you find it difficult to put that in a character?
A little bit, because you have the balance of your editor and your readers wanting a character who is likeable, but at the same time they've got to be flawed and realistic and human. So they are going to do things that you think, oh God, he's a cow. How could you say that to him? I mean, she's quite arsey, and she's not shy in coming forward with her thoughts and her opinions. But that,
which can be endearing, but a bit off-putting.
Yeah. So it's showing your character's heart, but also showing their head and what they're thinking and their honesty. And it's a difficult balance to get right. You don't want to create a fake character who's just really sweet and lovely all the time because he wants to be
they get a bit annoying as well.
Yeah.
Alright, if there is one book that you could put into anybody's hands at this moment in time, like I understand that favourites and enthusiasm changes.
Yes.
What would it be right now?
Oh, Rebel Girls. Good night stories for Rebel Girls. Absolutely love it. Bought it for my daughter and we're sharing it.
That's the best way to do it. This is why I shouldn't even have, I need children at some point.
Buy books for them.
For them.
She loves it, and my son loves it because he's got this obsession with Rosa Parks.
Oh, really? Oh, that's amazing.
He loves her, so we have to read him that page. And there's another one by Kate Pankhurst. Amazing.
Oh, Women in History?
Yeah.
I used to hand sell that to so many people.
Yeah.
We've sold tons of copies in the shop. Right. It's
those two. Good night stories.
And really nice
Girls.
illustrations as well.
Beautiful. So beautifully put together. It's a joy to look at. And it's so interesting to read, and great book for girls.
There we go. We'll put some ones down below. And finally, if there was any genre or age range that you could, that's not what you're writing right now, but that you could attempt and be supremely good at like the first try, what would it be?
Historical, adult.
Oh yeah.
Side by side.
Watch out, Hilary Mantel, like Rhian's coming after you. Anyway, well, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you all for watching. If there's any more questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye!